Good evening, everyone. I hope I am audible.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening.
Okay. So this is the first class of this particular module that is about project management. And when we are talking about project management, this particular module, I'll just quickly introduce you to the module, and thereafter we'll straightforward move to the first module. We'll start with the first module and topic first. So project management, as you know, it's a particular subject that is related to the operations, the working culture, the working environment out there in the factories, industries, and in our day-to-day life also we use project management. But ideally we do not realize that yes, we are using some techniques of project management. So this particular module is divided, or this particular subject is divided into 5 modules. And these 5 modules basically
Excuse me,
form,
madam.
yes,
Are you sharing the screen?
sorry,
Are you sharing the screen?
I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
Are you showing the presentation on the screen?
Will you be sharing your screen?
I'll be I'll be sharing up the presentation. I'm just introducing you up to the module which is already shared out there in the group, as I was able to see in the chat window of the Teams. So if you want, I can share my screen for the syllabus also. You want me to share the syllabus as well?
Yes, you better share it.
Yes. Then just give me a second, please.
Okay, and another question. After the class, will you send the audios on the forum or you send the notes on the forum?
Yes.
Sorry?
I'm asking, after this class, will you be sending modules and the audios? Because I can see somebody is recording.
This is the lecture is being recorded, as well as if you want, I will share the presentation on the Teams over here only. I'll attach the presentation.
Okay.
Just give me a moment. Meanwhile, I'll just share the module with you.
Excuse me, doctor.
I request everyone to go on mute and please only switch on the mic when you want to discuss or talk about something.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
I was requesting that members should switch off their screens, and those that are moving, please they mute their audios because we are getting feedback and we are being disrupted by the videos. Thank you so much.
Sure. So would request everyone to please, if you can please switch off your cameras and keep your mic on mute mode. And the basic instructions for the class would be that uh, you can just raise your hand if you have any sort of query. You can write it in the chat box, and I will try to resolve your queries. All right. So Yeah, are you all able to see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So your
Yes, you can see
your
it.
okay, all right. So your course is divided into 5 modules. The first module is project management initiation. Second is project management planning. Third is project management execution. Fourth is project management monitoring and control. And the fifth one is project management closure. As you can see, under each of the major topics, there are a few set of topics that are written, which will be duly covered in each and every session. So, if I talk about these 5 major headings, that is initiation, planning, execution, managing and control, monitoring and control, and closure, these are the 5 steps or the 5 major steps that are covered in the life cycle of any project. So today what we are going to start with is, we are going to start with the first topic. So, yeah. Is the presentation visible?
Yes.
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 All right, got that.
Yes, it is.
So we'll start with the first topic, that is existing plan review. Now, to just build up a background onto this particular aspect, that what is it all about? I hope you all are aware of, whenever we are doing any sort of project, any kind of activity in our daily lives or into our business or wherever we are working, we have a particular plan. There are certain set of plans that are already existing. There are certain set of plans which we make in a new manner. Okay, and there are certain plans which ideally need some innovation, certain set of changes in order to match up with the existing environment. So in the first phase, that is initiation, the first topic that we are going to understand is how to review an existing plan. All right. So first thing is the project initiation. So what is project initiation? Project initiation is ideally a formal recognition that a new project or a next phase in the existing project is about to begin, and we have ample amount of resources that are available. Uh, when I'm talking about ample amount of resources being available, resources include the basic raw material, the machineries, the equipments, the tools, as well as the manpower. The manpower is the most important resource that is there in any of the economies. Now, when I'm talking about the understanding of project initiation, the project get initiated on the basis of first thing, that is need. Now, can anyone tell me, either by writing in the chat box or just by unmuting themselves, not everyone, only one single person, that what do you understand by need? What is a need? Yes, Percy, please, if you can.
So for me, a need, I understand, is something that you cannot do without, something that is required. Yes.
Right, very true. Whenever we are talking about need, we are talking about those things that are required for the basic necessities, like, for example, food, clothing, and shelter. Certain things without which our survival is not possible. And because of these needs, the demand get generated. Right. Now, there is a difference between need and demand. We need certain set of things, but what is demand? Demand is something, or demand is need for a particular product for which I have the willingness to buy, and alongside I do have the purchasing power for that particular product. All right. So I should have the amount. Say, for example, I have a house to live. I have food to eat. I have clothes to wear. Now, next thing what I want is, say, for example, in that particular place where I'm staying, I don't have a fan. So now what I want is a fan. But I should have that much amount that I can purchase that particular fan. So that would be the demand. If I have the adequate amount which can be utilized to buy that particular fan so that I can get cool air. Maybe next thing what I want is a tube light through which in the night I can get light. Otherwise everything would be in darkness. So all these things comes under the category of want. Want is something for which we have the purchasing power, that is we can buy that particular product. So demand is that when you have the willingness to buy and you have the purchasing power for that particular thing at a given point of time. Now, when a particular person or a particular concern or a firm or an industry has understood what is the demand out there in the market, thereafter they need to understand opportunity do they have in order to fulfill those demands. Because again, when we are talking about the business or the industry, their production process is continuous. So it has to go according to that, how you take that particular opportunity as. Say, for example, few people amongst you are working in the same organization. There was some plan or idea that was shared with you by your superiors. Now it's up to you how best or in a better manner you have understood that particular aspect, that with what objective that particular thing is being shared with you, and thereafter how quickly you are able to give a solution to that, or maybe provide a particular insight into how that particular thing can be developed. Say, for example, I'm working into an educational institution. There are a certain set of things that are required to be done. We at times follow manual procedures, but those manual procedures do take time. So I can advise upon that let's go and utilize the technology. So that is where I looked in for the opportunity that a particular thing is not being used and it is there. And I took the advantage to advise to the management that kindly use this particular technology for the betterment of the organization. Now, as a result of this, when you have understood what the opportunity is, Yeah, is anyone, does anyone wants to say something or ask something? All right. So when you have understood this particular aspect, that what is the opportunity and how to take advantage of that particular opportunity, so in that case, you can easily adapt to technology, you can save on time, as well as you can generate revenue or profits for the company. Thereafter, the last thing that these three result is into a problem. Now you might be thinking, why problem? Because these three things, that is need, demand and opportunity, have only given you an idea or an insight that what is the requirement out there into the market. Now how to fulfill that particular requirement? What would be the shelf life of that particular thing? Will that requirement be a sustainable one, or is it just for a time being period? Yeah. Yes. Yes, somebody was saying something.
Doctor, you can continue.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we were talking about the problem. So problem is something that arises out of these three aspects. That is, when we have understood what is the need of a particular thing into the market, what kind of demand is there, what kind of opportunity is there, is it a long-term opportunity or a short-term opportunity? So accordingly, as a particular project manager, we can initiate with that particular issue. If it is a short-term problem, maybe it can be fulfilled in a time span of, say for example, one odd month or two odd month. So there we will look in for some options that are shorter in nature, that can be uh, taken care of in an idealistic manner and in a quick manner, wherein if it is a long-term problem, that is, it will sustain for a longer period of time, and if we provide solution for it or a project for it that will yield us revenue for a longer period of time, then we can work upon that particular project in that particular manner. Now, how can we identify needs and demands? Kindly mute yourself, please. Yeah. So identification of needs and demands. Now, I can see somewhere around 95 people out here in this meeting. And if I start asking what all are your needs, they will differ from each other. But at the end of the day, when I join them together, they will end up to one particular aspect or one particular phenomena. Now, needs of one individual household combined together with all other households leads to a macro level state of affair, and obviously it will yield high value. Since it is a common thing that is required by everyone, so it will be of high value for everyone. Okay. Next. Now, when I'm talking for the need, if I have identified the need, let's take an example that for in these days, to have an internet connection, to have a good connectivity is the need of an hour. Everyone wants to be online. They want, yeah.
But now the voice is very low.
Sorry? Hello?
Doctor, you may continue.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so when I am
just also make an Alan Doc, I think just also make an announcement that everyone should mute their mics, because we're getting some terrible backgrounds. So let everyone who is on board, please mute their mics so that we can follow the procession well. Thanks, Doc.
Okay, so when you have identified the needs and demands, that is, I was just giving an example about that today everyone wants a mobile phone or a handset with a good connectivity so that we can do our work, perform our work in a proper manner. Now to have a good connectivity, a good mobile phone, and especially mobile phone is highly used by youngsters for taking photographs. So a high resolution camera is a must for to have a good phone. So now when I am drafting a project or when I have been given a task to design a particular phone which fulfills all these needs, like need by the youngsters, mobile phone is needed to click pictures, make videos, etc. For adults, they need a mobile phone with a good network so that they can perform certain set of tasks while they are traveling or when like wherever they are they can perform their tasks easily. Now for all these things we need to understand what all resources will be put forth, how those resources would be utilized, and since all the most of the resources have alternative uses, so how best or how in an optimum manner those particular things can be utilized. So first thing is identification of the resources that are available with us in to prepare a particular product or a project. Secondly, the most important thing, whether I'm having funds to make that particular product or not. We will be talking about finances. How much money would be spent while we are preparing that particular product or while laying down a particular project. We cannot lay down any industry or any sort of project in a hayway manner like I don't have funds, I have not decided upon the finances, and I am starting up with my project. So finance becomes an important part. Now finance can be from two ways, like it can be a funded kind of a project that can be funded from the government of the various countries, or a portion of the finance can be put forth from the individual side, whosoever is proposing that particular project. Because at the end of the day, the profit earned from that particular project would be distributed if the fund is generated from two different parties, or if it is from a single party, the project would be definitely going to that particular single party. Third thing where we talk about identification of needs and demand is we should have strong willingness to make. Now, when I'm talking about this aspect, that is the strong willingness to make a particular product, is that whenever you are starting any kind of task, it involves risk. So in the very initiation phase, we cannot think about getting high amount of profit. At times it can happen when you start up a project, it might yield you losses. So if you have strong willingness to make a particular product, you should make a product and you should give quality. Maybe it might take some time for any particular consumer group to adapt to that particular thing. Let's say when the mobiles were introduced or when the laptops were introduced, or going more back when television was introduced, does every household had a television, or does every household had a telephone connection, or does every person was carrying a laptop? No. But if we talk about today, small kids also understand the importance of what laptop can do to them. And the past 2-3 years that went in a very bad state of COVID, we have learned the use of technology to that extent that you people sitting in some other part of the world, we people are connected together and we are exchanging thoughts. So there was a strong willingness. These all technologies, these all advancements in technologies are an example of that. At a given point of time, we were not aware about video conferencing things. But yes, now we are utilizing them in a very effective and efficient manner. Moving ahead, needs and demand can be taken as opportunities to develop as a business requirement and any kind of a problem that is required to be solved. There are lots and lots of question marks that come into our brains actually when we critically look into things. That what if I do this and I don't do that? So that particular question needs to be solved time and again. Because if I have the solution to that particular question, then I can move ahead with another question, because one question gives birth to another question. Like it might be going into your mind that right now we are currently talking about only needs and demand. What next? Because next would be how to decide upon the project, how to go ahead with the funding thing, how will be a project decision may be made, maybe a location can be decided for a particular project to take place, or what kind of a layout a particular project needs to have. All right. So the needs and demands can be classified into 7 basic categories. First is market demand. Market demand, when I'm talking about the households. The various households combined together built up a market demand. Okay. Second is strategic opportunity or business need. Now, if we keep on talking about households, consumers. Okay, I think I have some messages in the chat. Okay. So if I talk from one end only, that is, I'm talking from consumer point of view, what consumer wants, what are his needs, wants and demands or desires. And I'm not talking from business perspective. So business perspective, when here we are talking about what is the need of the business. Business needs to earn profit. I need profit. Now, how can I earn profit? I can earn profit by performing well, giving a qualitative output which satisfies the customer. Like I am right now a service provider to you 100 people. Now, if this class would be effective, you will be satisfied customers for me. If this class won't be an effective one, then there is still a scope of improvement that can be developed, and maybe in the next class we can have more sort of discussions that can be taken care of. Thirdly, customer request. If a customer is coming up with a request, we need to listen it very carefully. Why? Because there can be an idea into it that we have not thought about. Next is technological advancement. Technological advancement means that we cannot go ahead every time with the obsolete technologies. Still, if I would have been preparing my account.
Doctor, you are muted. We can't hear you.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'll just repeat it again. Okay. Is the presentation visible now?
Yes.
And I'm audible as well?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
You went on mute again.
okay, Doctor,
Now am I audible?
go on.
Yes, now you're audible.
All right. So we were talking about technological advancements. All of you, please mute yourself. Yeah. So we were talking about technological advancements, and if we go ahead with the obsolete technology, like I was giving an example about the accounting system. If I would have still been preparing the accounts or the ledgers or the balance sheets via the traditional method of drawing the basic formats and noting it down manually, where would I have been? So there also technology has advanced. Still, if I would have been into a state of that while teaching we are just using a chalk and a duster, there would have not have been these kind of advancement. You would have not adopted to the technology. Since we have adopted to the technology, we have multiple ideas for advancements. Like if we see these days, we can watch movies over the OTT platforms. We have various things like we have various food platforms where we can order food and get it to our homes. We need not visit to the restaurants also. So again, these are we are using making use of technology. Then is legal requirement. Now, every country has its own legal requirements. Certain things are prohibited in some countries, certain things are prohibited in some other countries. So while taking care of all these decisions, that is to fulfill the market demand, to generate the opportunity for the business, or to take care of the customer request, or going ahead for the technological advancement, we also need to comply with the legalities of any of the concerns. Next is ecological impact. Any kind of product we are producing, anything we are producing in an economy, that should be eco-friendly. That should not cause hazards to the place we are staying at. That should not be ideally, what to say, it should not be a bane to the society basically. It should come as a boon. Our future generation should be able to preserve or conserve that particular thing. That is why we say that industries or factories should be on the outskirts. Why? Because the pollution that is being caused, that can be merged out into the air. Although with that particular wastage also, the air is getting polluted, the ozone layer is getting depleted. So need to think of how that particular pollution or that particular aspect can be taken care of. And finally, the social need. There should not be any kind of statement, any kind of thought that should be given that hampers the social or social well-being of any community, any human being. So while preparing up a project, you should consider all these 7 needs and demand aspects. Next, if we move ahead. Now, when we are aware about what are the needs and demands, we need to understand the feasibility study. Whether that particular task that we have decided for ourselves, that particular task is feasible enough or not. Say for example, I decide for myself that I have a land and I'm going to construct a house onto it. Do you think it is possible or it is feasible enough that I alone construct a house for myself without any support from anyone? I hope everyone's answer would be a no, a big no. So we need to understand whether that particular thing is feasible enough or not. It has to be ideally a justified decision. I need manpower. So every particular project gives birth to some set of separate projects which have to be classified in a manner. If you would have seen any kind of organization or any kind of industry, you'll have seen there are various divisions in that particular industry or organization. One is a marketing division, one is the human resources division, one is the finance division, one is the operations division, IT division, research and development wing is separately. These days, innovation wing is also a separate wing. So the work is distributed amongst all these categories and then they are combined together. So each and every project is classified into sub-project, and thereafter the first phase of the project start, that is to start work. Now when we start working upon a particular thing, we are able to understand. Initially what happens is a pilot testing of that particular work is done. Now, what does pilot testing means? Whether that particular work is viable or not. Whether it is resulting into something lucrative or we are going into some direction for which we are not thought of. So that gives actually a feasibility to maybe change the direction. Now, when I'm talking about project life cycle, or when we are talking about the initiation phase, at every phase, like we have spoken about in our syllabus also about the 5 phases of the project life cycle, with every stage we need to practice control measure. Why we need to practice control measure? So that we can rectify any sort of error that is occurring in between. So here, when we are conducting a feasibility study, we'll be able to analyze whether the project that I have taken up, that is viable enough or not. Okay. Next, now what all are the methods that can be used for selecting a particular project? What would be its market share? First question. What can be the financial benefits that can be associated with it? Third, a very important one, return on investment. I am investing some money into the project, so I should get adequate, rather a higher returns. Customer loyalty. Will the customer remain with me? That is, I need to understand who all would be my prospective competitors, or who all can enter the market alongside me, who all are working upon the same things. And public perception. Now, perception and expectation, that creates a huge gap. We are publicizing into the market that we are coming up with X, Y, Z elements into the product. But when the customer is using that particular product, they are only getting the insight of only X element, not anything about Y or Z that has been committed, that created expectation, with what expectation they purchase that particular product. Will the customer stay with me? No, the customer will not stay with me. I will not be able to hold that particular customer for a longer time. So when I'm talking about a project and I'm talking about to select the project, going again behind, I should be aware about what is feasible for me and what best I can give to the customers, to the society, to the environment that I am there. Yes, of course, when I am into a business, I will definitely talk about monetary benefits. I will definitely talk about finances. I will definitely talk about return on investment, because I also have invested money into it. Then, now these project selection methods, that is those features, that is market share, financial benefits, and return on investment, creating customer perception, customer loyalty. These methods can be classified into 2 parts: mathematical models and benefit measurement methods. Now, mathematical models are constraint optimization methods. Now, in any organization, say for example, I own a particular business, I have a business, and what would be my perspective? What would be my basic sole motive or objective behind that particular business? To earn profit. And then when I am there investing to earn profit, I have various constraints. Now, what are those constraints? The constraints can be the resource constraints. The resource The constraint can be the manpower constraint, the constraint can be the machine hour constraint. There can be n number of constraints we can think about. Constraint means anything which restricts me. Like I cannot go on teaching for 24/7. That is my restriction. Maybe continuously I can teach for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, maybe 10 hours maximum. But that is my maximum limit. After that, I need to take some rest. Second category is benefit measurement methods. These are decision models. These are also again related to finance, but here we understand the based upon the current investment, the futuristic value of the particular thing. So let's move ahead with it. When I'm talking about mathematical models, we are talking about linear programming, dynamic programming, integer programming, non-linear programming, multi-level objective programming. These you will be studying in detail when we will be moving ahead in the particular curriculum. In short, or in crux, if I need to say, is these are basically mathematical methods where we need to calculate things, we need to be very precise about the figures, and we need to give an optimal solution. Now in project management, when we'll be studying ahead, we'll be using these words very frequently: optimal, effective, efficient. These three words would be those words where the entire thing would be revolving around. When I talk about benefit measurement methods, we'll be talking about cost benefit analysis. We'll be talking about scoring models. We'll be talking about cash flow techniques, economic models. That is, we'll be talking about NPV, that is net present value. We'll be talking about IRR, that is internal rate of return. Okay, basis upon that, we'll be taking up decisions. Okay, now before proceeding ahead, I just want to understand until this stage, was everything clear? You can just write it in the chat box, or if there is any question until this stage, because post this I have two small incidences or two small caselets that we can discuss, or maybe you can take a screenshot of that, or we can then go ahead in the next class. So if anyone has a problem, you can please write down in the chat box.
Yeah, okay, doctor.
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly. Maybe there is some network error.
Please write in the chat box if you are facing some network error.
Okay, so I got a question that would you make some clarification about the feasibility study? Now, feasibility study basically means that whether a particular task is attainable for me or not. Whether I can attain a particular task or not. That is, say I am a student of class 5th and I have been given some task that is for a graduate person. Whether that student of class 5th will be, for that particular student, would that task be attainable? No. So as per my resources, my constraints, I should be able to decide upon that what thing or what particular kind of project is best for me. Say I am into the FMCG sector and suddenly I say I want to produce or manufacture a car. Is it feasible for me? No. Why? Because the resources which I have are related to the FMCG sector. And I'm talking about production for the car. Car production in all totally takes different set of people, different set of technology. I cannot use those FMCG resources into the production of the car. So that is not at all feasible for me. I need to totally take a turnaround strategy, move ahead in a new manner. Then I hope, Paul, I have made it clear the feasibility study.
Yes,
Then
Doctor.
next,
Much I'm clear now.
Next, the query is, I'm not very clear about mathematical measurement. See, this was just an introduction to the mathematical measurement techniques. The moment we will move ahead to the further topics to come, and we will use those particular techniques, that how the calculation is carried around. This was just an introduction to what all things are used. Then those things would be clear. We'll be definitely coming up with certain set of examples that how mathematical techniques are used for deciding upon the project, how resource constraint act as a barrier or set a particular limit or level to attain some level of profit, and what is the optimal strategy that can be used. All right, Keith. We'll be basically discussing upon these things in future classes to come. Now, going ahead, I have two examples. First is MavenLink helps improve utilization rate by 15% for BTM Global. Okay, these are two different entities. MavenLink is working for BTM Global, and it helps to improvise the utilization rate. Utilization rate of what? Resources. So this case study is all about how MavenLink helped BTM Global Consulting to save hours of work and enhance utilization of resource management technology. Now this BTM Consulting, it offers a system development and integrated services to diverse clients. Now, the challenges that this particular company was facing was the NetSuite OpenAir or Excel spreadsheets. They were not able to meet the customization needs as the company was growing over a period of time, and it impacted the overall productivity. Now, in order to overcome the challenge, the solution they adopted was to switch to MavenLink. The result was that it increased the utilization of the company by 10% and enhanced the manager utilization by 15%. Also, it reduced the resource allocation work from 4 hours just to 10 minutes. So MavenLink here acted as a savior for BTM Global, where the problem they were facing about technology, it totally took care of that particular technological aspect, and it increased the utilization rate and working time also. You can see the kind of a huge gap that it generated. Second example again is related with the Sydney Opera House project. Now, this particular project was a real-time project, and there for its construction, people faced lots and lots of problem. Why the problem was there? Because of leadership changes. As you know, leadership plays an important role, and if constantly leaders are changing, the strategy changes, the proposals changes, the ideology changes. So this particular project, the Sydney Opera House project, was planned somewhere around 1962-63, but it took 10 years for it to get completed. In 1973, this particular project was completed. Currently, it stands as a symbol of perseverance and successful project management in the face of humankind. Why? Because with so many changes in the leadership, so many changes in the project proposals, the initiation and the end of the project totally showed a turnaround. Like a decade is a too long period where things change disastrously. So these were the two extreme examples that I had to make you understand about how a particular project can start, what can be the various hurdles that lie in between, what can be the prompt actions that can be taken, This was just a gist of a long story, basically. Okay, now stop the presentation, and if there are any sort of queries, John has written, since we can also apply differentiation optimize, does differentiation also fall under integer programming? Yes, it does fall. Differentiation does falls. How does it fall? That would be explained to you when we'll be doing the mathematical measurement techniques. Anything anyone wants to ask, or shall we call it off for? Sorry?
Thank you very much. I've understood.
Okay. I mean, all of you have been patient listeners, and I hope you would have definitely understood something. In case you have not understood, you can please write in the chat box or raise your hand. Okay. Yes, Kedambre Vincent, please tell me.
Yes, Doctor, thank you. I'm seeing here that the lecture has been recorded. Is there any way we can access it?
Your voice is not clear. Please, if you can write on the in the chat box, please. Your voice is not clear.
Is there any way we can access this lecture after I've seen it being recorded? Is there any way we can access it after, just to go through everything?
This session is being recorded, and hopefully the recordings would be shared with you.
Yes, it will be, the recording will be shared. Also, ma'am, if you can just share the presentation with me, I'll share, or you can put it on the Teams channel. I'll share everything together on the email also.
Sure, ma'am. I'll do that. I'll share the presentation.
Great.
So,
anyone else has any further questions, or we can call it off for today's session?
I think that's okay. It was quite a good day, so we are eager to learn more.
All right, then, ma'am, we shall call it off for the session if they don't have any sort of queries, or maybe they can be taken up in the next class in the initial few minutes if they
Sure, we
through
can
the
do that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you a lot, everyone, for being such a patient listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Swati.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Dr.